I think I spent such a long time blaming the Lord for all the things that had happened, that I didn't even realize that he was actually right next to me weeping. He was feeling all the things that I was feeling. He's never the one to blame. Like, he never wanted these things to happen to me. And like, the crazy thing is, like, he doesn't owe us anything. Like, what he did on the cross is enough. And so like, even if he was to never answer another prayer in my life, even if he never spoke to me again, or even if I never felt his presence again, him alone is enough. Him alone is worthy of my entire life and my praise. And so like, he doesn't owe us anything, but because he is so kind, because he is so gracious, and because he loves us, and because he wants a relationship with us, he answers our prayers. He speaks to us. He comforts us.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Radiant Podcast. And this is going to be a really fun episode because we have my friend Carrie with us. Carrie, you're on staff at the church with us, and we've worked together for years. But what's fun about this episode is that we decided to do this episode like 5 minutes ago. And we were actually talking about the podcast. We're kind of doing some like, okay, how do we want to, continue to do these different things in the future? And all of a sudden, I can't remember what happened, but I just looked at you, or someone brought it up, and it was like, "Oh, Carrie, would you want to share your story?" And you're like, "Well, I mean, like right now," and I'm like, "Why not? Like, it's actually already set up because I'm doing a podcast tomorrow." And I was like, "It's we could literally just go in there right now and do it." And so we did it. And we also found out that we're wearing pretty much the exact same outfit. So we're wearing the same color jeans and sweatshirt. So we're twinning, and it looks, and I actually hate matching. I don't know if I ever told you this story.
You did.
Did I say this story? I'll say it again. So I hate matching so much that like, if I am, for me and my wife, if we're getting ready for something, I have to figure out what she's wearing first before I decide what I'm going to wear, because I absolutely hate coming upstairs and if I'm wearing like a green shirt and she has like a green shirt on, I'm like, no. I was like, I'm sorry, but we cannot leave the house with the same color shirt because it's just like, it feels wrong. Feels like we're trying to match, and I like don't like. And so one time I'm teaching a class to probably about like 80 students, and I should have known because she was like, "Hey, you should wear this shirt," and like blah blah blah. I was like, "You haven't worn this in a while," and I was like, "Oh, okay." So I'm wearing, what I'm wearing, and she somehow sends a message to all 80 students of exactly what I'm wearing. Like, he's wearing this color shirt, these color pants, these color shoes, and this hat. And I walked into the class, and I'm probably about 10, 15 minutes into teaching, and I look around and I'm realizing everyone is wearing the exact same thing. And I'm like, wow, this is so weird. And I look down and realize they're all matching me. And I felt, it's probably one of the moments where I've never felt more betrayed in my life by my wife.
That's dedication.
It was my worst, like the thing I hate the most, she like exploited for the good of others. And then it was terrible. So anyway, so we're matching. Let's get out of the way now. We look great on camera. So
I had to seize the opportunity,
I think you told me before we hit record, you're like, just so you know, the only reason I'm doing this is because we're wearing the same clothes.
Yep.
So
it's true.
So Carrie, how long have you been here on staff at Radiant with us?
Almost 3 years.
Okay.
In March, it'll be 3.
Yeah.
But if you count my RSW year, 4.
Okay, 4. All right. Mm-hmm. So I knew you from a distance when you were RSW year. Mm-hmm. And obviously I was over the creative department when you came on staff on our creative team. And so I remember getting to know you then. And so you were already, I was like, I kind of knew even when we were like, in the interview process and meeting with you, and then in the follow-up meetings I had with you, I was like, there's something to Carrie's story that I don't know. Like, I actually don't know much of your story. I know like little tiny bits and pieces. But I know like, even I was like recounting just a little bit ago, like little conversations we had about, okay, so I was supposed to go do this and I didn't, and I'm doing this, or this with this and this, and where I was at. And I'm like, oh, there's like, you said that really quickly, but there's like a lot there. And so, and I just know, just in my personal experience with you, like the Lord has done so much in your life with like his leadership and leading you through different seasons.
Yeah.
And so I know that's a big part of your story. And so I would love just to hear your story. I think your story is going to help impact young people who are learning to hear the voice of the Lord, learning to know where or who they are in God, and that the pathway that God has before them. And so, where should we start? Where do you want to start?
We can start wherever.
Yeah, we can't start. I mean, we can't start like the moment you were born, but we can like it depends on how. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's see. Obviously, if people are watching this, you're not white like me, so you are Korean.
Yep.
And pardon me, were you born in Korea?
Yeah.
Like I think right. Like you were okay. So you're from Korea. When did you move to America?
Yeah, so I was born in South Korea and then moved to Wisconsin when I was 9.
Wow, you said Wisconsin like you were from Wisconsin. Wisconsin.
Yeah. Or Wisconsin, as people would say.
Yeah, no, Wisconsin. I like that. Yeah. So, okay, when you were 9, but your family is still in South Korea.
Yes.
Yeah. So you were with extended family, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, okay, so 9 years old. Why'd you move to Wisconsin? Why'd you move to America?
Yeah. So I grew up in the outskirt of Seoul, South Korea, which is the capital of that country. And growing up, we weren't lower class, but I would say middle lower class. And my parents just wanted to give us better opportunities, better shot at a future. And I'm the oldest of 3, so I was 9, my sister was 5, 6, and my brother was 3. And
wow. Okay.
My parents decided they wanted to have an abroad opportunity, wanted us to have better education, better future. So then when I was 9, my parents decided that it would be good for us to go live with our aunt and uncle who have been living in Wisconsin at the time. And so my mom was really smart about this because years leading up to it, since I was like a newborn, she had me travel to Wisconsin to visit for vacation reasons and just to visit extended families and whatnot. And so I got used to flying, and all of us did. And so then when we were moving, we weren't actually told that we were moving.
Oh,
so
nice.
it was just like,
pack all of your favorite things and we're going to go on a trip. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just remember being at the airport and my mom is weeping.
Wow.
And it was a huge sacrifice on her end as well as my father's. But we went through the adoption process with my aunt and uncle.
Wow.
So then they gave up their rights to us so that we could live in Wisconsin.
Wow.
And because the citizenship process is so much more difficult with adults at the time, they were going through a sibling visa process with my aunt. And waiting for the visa process to be finalized, but it takes about average of 11 years.
Wow.
And so they had started that back in 2006 or 2007. But then didn't want us to be late with like learning the language and being adopted into the culture and stuff like that. So then they just thought it'd be best for us to go early.
I didn't know. So you're saying that at that like 9 years old, and then your other siblings 6 and 3, like you essentially your parental rights were shifted over to your aunt and uncle. And then you grew up. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So then my aunt and uncle graciously adopted all of us. And I just remember being at the airport, and my mom is so sad.
Did they fly with you?
No, they didn't. So our grandparents flew with us, and my grandparents thankfully came with us so that we would get adjusted and to help out with parenting and things like that. Because raising 3 kids is a lot of work.
0 to 3 is wild.
So they had 2 of their own kids, but they were older. But adding 3 more kids is a lot of work. So my grandparents came along to help with raising us and whatnot and help us get adjusted. But I remember us not really knowing at the time what was happening, but just my mom and my dad being super sad at the airport. And when we got to Wisconsin, we were like, when are we going back? Or when are...
Yeah, because you didn't realize that you were like living there.
Yeah.
Did they tell you that like they're going to be your new mom and dad for this
No,
Okay.
so my mom was very smart in having us visit our aunt and uncle in the past.
So
Then I almost had the understanding maybe we're just visiting for an extended
for
amount
a
of
long
time,
yeah.
but then weeks turned into months, and then months turned into a year. And
Wow.
due to the adoption process, we had to stay in country for 3 years.
Yeah.
So for about 3 years, we didn't get to see our parents.
Wow.
So that's how I came to Wisconsin and started a brand new childhood there.
That's wild.
Yeah.
How far in did you realize, oh, this is what's happening?
I don't remember quite all the details, but I remember, I think we got to Wisconsin around March of 2009, and then we looked into like schools and things. So then I think that's I slowly began to pick up on things.
Like, this is my new life kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. I did not know that.
So like we're looking at schools, and I'm visiting the principal, getting introduced to different people and being signed up for different programs. And so things started to become a little more permanent. But I was a crazy kid. I was so always up for adventures. I loved new things. I'm like, wow, I love Wisconsin. This is great. Everything is new. So many opportunities, new friends, new people. So I was just really excited, but also definitely sad about my parents.
Yeah. Were there a lot of like Korean people in that area?
No.
Okay, so it's like just you and your two. Is it a brother, sister, or is it? Okay.
My brother, my sister, my brother.
Yeah.
We lived in a small town called Port Washington.
Okay.
In Wisconsin. It's a beach town, kind of similar to South Haven vibe.
Okay, yeah.
And we were probably one of maybe 2 or 3 Asian families. And the other 2 Asian students were adopted.
Okay.
By like white family members.
Yeah. Okay. So so really you're the only one.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
But thankfully, like I had great experience growing up in schools, and I had the naive thinking that English was just Korean but backwards. So yeah, I had crazy confidence for a 9-year-old.
Like, I got this.
Yeah, I remember being enrolled into school, and most kids would be very timid and very scared.
Yeah.
And I'm sure my sister and my brother were.
Yeah.
But I was just more excited to be there. I've always been like, I'm happy to be here type of gal.
Yeah.
Even as I was a little kid. And I remember this story. When I was 9 years old, I had my first English class with my English teacher. So when we got here, it was like spring of 2009. And then we took that summer, and my aunt was a superhero. She taught us English at home and made this rule: we can't speak Korean, so that we would pick up the language faster. And she basically homeschooled us those 3 months to be prepared for the fall.
Yeah.
And
which you were probably going into like 5th grade?
3rd grade.
Oh, you were 9?
Yeah, or I was 8 turning 9.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay,
so,
yeah.
3rd grade. And I remember that fall semester, I was in this English class with my new English teacher. Her name was Mrs. Garbish, Mrs. G. And I remember we have to read out loud these stories. And one of the stories was Amelia Bedelia.
Yeah, I read
her. Love the story. And at that point, I had kind of become familiar with English. So I built up a little bit of confidence. It might have been pride, but either or, confidence, pride, it's a fine line. And I remember it was my turn to read out loud. And the sentence went like, Amelia Bedelia made these cookies, and the grandma exclaimed, wow, Amelia Bedelia, this is delicious. And it was the word delicious. And I had learned I is pronounced I in words. So I pronounced it with full confidence. Wow, Amelia Bedelia, this is delicious. I just had the utmost confidence in saying that out loud in front of entire class.
Yeah.
And I think I had the audacity to correct my English teacher, because she said, Carrie, it's actually delicious.
You're like,
and I was like, no, it's not. I was like, there's 2 I's in here.
Yeah.
It's delicious. And I also remember being called deer, like DEAR. But I had mistaken that as like the animal deer.
Yeah.
So then I remember also coming home, I'm like, Auntie, like, why is everybody calling me a deer? Like, why is that? my name is Carrie. Like, I chose that name. I don't know why people are calling me dear. But anyways, I was a different type of kid back then.
That's a wild life to start.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then you have obviously your siblings are, I mean, there's a benefit and probably a con to being younger. Like it's probably harder for them because that formative years is, but then also they don't know much else besides that. So they're able to probably acclimate a little sooner. So, okay. So you are, 8, 9, 10 years old. You're kind of going through school. You're probably not, I'm assuming not much contact with parents because this is probably pre like video calls type stuff, right? Like this is, a while ago. So so you've pretty much acclimated. I'm assuming you're acclimating now to like, this is my normal life. So what does those next, 5-ish years look like for you? Like was the family you were with, your aunt and uncle, were they believers? Did you grow up in a home like that or what?
No. So funny enough, I'm the only believer of the family.
Whole family.
Okay. And still today, but we're still believing for salvation for my family. Wow. I actually came to know the Lord when I was just 3 years old. This is when I was living back in South Korea.
Really? Okay. So that's interesting. Okay, so I want to hear the story then.
Yeah. So I grew up in a non-Christian household, and we lived with our grandparents. So it was an extended family home. And my grandparents practiced and still practice Buddhism. Okay. And my parents are atheists. Okay. And with their decision of raising us, they were very much like, if you want to believe in something, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Yeah. And so growing up, my grandparents took care of us a lot because both of my parents worked. And so there would be times where my grandma brings me to the temple to worship Buddha or whatever that is. So I would tag along a lot, but ironically, we lived right next to a very, very small church. Yeah. And it was very rundown. It was a very small town, and our town was known. It was called the graveyard oftentimes because there was so much older generation in the town and not many young people. And it was a dying town. But we ironically lived right next to this very small church, maybe a congregation of 15 people max. Yeah. And we just lived right next to it. And when I was about 2 or 3, I started kind of piquing interest in going there because I would see all the kids hanging out there. Oh, okay. And so then one day my grandma thought, you know what, it actually might be good for her to go to church and hang out with all the kids. And so one happy Sunday, my grandpa decided to walk me over with a watermelon in his hand and me in the other, and just went up to the pastor and asked him, hey, is it okay if my granddaughter come to church on Sundays? And so thankfully the pastor and the community there took me in. And so from 3 and beyond, by the age of 3, my grandpa would just walk me there on Sundays. And my family loved it because it was a free form of childcare. Yeah, yeah. And by the time I was 5, I just started walking there by myself. My grandma would just peek out the window, make sure I get into the building safe. And that's how I absolutely fall in love with the Lord. Wow. When God talks about childlike faith, I had that.
That's crazy.
I loved the Lord. I don't know if this is right for me to say, but I don't think I ever loved the Lord more than when I was 3 or 4. Yeah. That's how my faith started. Wow. So when I moved to Wisconsin, I was still the only believer, and my aunt and uncle didn't go to church or anything like that. But they knew that faith was important to me. That was one thing about me that my parents shared. Carrie loves the church. So we did try out some churches here and there, but I'm so young, I can't drive, I can't just go on my own. So we did check out some churches in town, but it wasn't a regular thing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, there's so much I didn't know about your story as you're sharing. I think I knew that your parents weren't saved. I knew that because I know that in our conversations there was, now, you're in full-time vocational ministry. And I know there was tension in that, you know?
Yeah.
And so I know I know that part of the story comes. So you basically say, you know, 3 to 5 years old, like you were like that you found your first love in Jesus and you're like, okay, this is what, you know, and then you moved to America, start a brand new life,
Yep.
a new name, new everything,
Yep.
you know, and then, so where does the next point of your story pick up, like, as we kind of go through that timeline?
Yeah. So, let's see. So I still believed in God even after I had moved, obviously, but wasn't a regular member of church until probably like 6th grade. I had a friend who started inviting me to church and her youth group, and I became heavily involved in that in middle school and kind of almost like fell in love with the Lord.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess where my story kind of picks up is probably in middle school. I started getting more heavily involved with church and youth group, but I was hiding a very big secret. And yeah, so I was hiding a pretty big secret in middle school. I was unfortunately sexually abused by my uncle.
Gosh. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, when I was in 6th grade, actually.
Wow.
And I kept that a secret until I realized it also had happened to my sister in 8th grade.
Man.
And so then I decided, after hearing from my sister, that had also happened to her. And it had also happened to me the second time in 8th grade as well. But I had told myself I'm keeping it a secret until the day I die.
Wow.
Until my sister came to me and shared what had happened.
Yeah.
And when that happened, we had gone to our aunt and said, hey, I think our uncle has a problem.
Wow.
And unfortunately, at the time, we were told to keep it a secret. And so, but that was kind of, it was unfortunate that we were told to keep it a secret. But at the time when I was in 8th grade, it was kind of like something changed. From as an 8th grader, I thought it was almost a good thing because we kept it a secret, but then my aunt and uncle started going to church and then started forcing all of us to go to church. And at the time, I was like, oh, God is answering my prayers. We're going to church together as a family. My sister and my brother are coming to youth group with me. But now that I'm older, I see that was driven by guilt and not by the Holy Spirit. And so,
as a child, you can't. And when you have trauma and you can't actually get that out, and it's kind of being like shielded and trying to and covered up, like you don't know how to process those things, and so that's so brutal.
Yeah, and so 8th grade was an interesting year because in a way I felt like my prayers were answered as a child, but then I had found out not something that I was keeping it a secret as my own, but something. Now I had my sister's secret, and now as a family, we're keeping it a secret. So it was as if I was living a double life a little bit. We had this dark secret as a family.
That's so hard because it's like typically you hear what you just said. I lived a double life, and I've heard that. I've done many episodes, and typically it's I'm going out and partying, and then I'm also going to church. It's like this choice of I'm choosing both things, and it's like, but this double life you're living is like something wrong was done to you that you couldn't control, and you did nothing wrong. But then you can't share it, so you can't even find freedom and healing because you're not able to share. And as a child, you don't know what to do, and so that double it fractures you. That is so brutal. It's
And
so painful.
there would be times, like I remember in 8th grade, especially after I found out that it also had happened to my sister, I remember if there were like police officers walking in the streets or even in the hallways of my school, I remember intentionally walking in front of them or making sure they see me just to see if they were gonna do anything about it or if I was gonna quote unquote get caught. And I remember feeling that anxiety of like, is this secret gonna be exposed? But yeah, so 8th grade, started becoming 8th grade was an interesting year, but I don't think things started really to unravel. We lived like that for about 3 more years.
Mhm.
But then junior year of my high school is when things went all crumbling down.
Mm.
My sister unfortunately couldn't live with it anymore, and during youth group one day, our youth pastor was speaking on forgiveness.
Mhm.
And she had broken down to my youth pastor and was like, how am I supposed to forgive someone if I have to live with it every day?"
Wow, yeah.
Which is very true
Yep.
because even after we had told our aunt about it, nothing changed.
Yeah.
We were still seeing our uncle, family reunions, holidays,
Yeah.
and we had to live as if though nothing had happened.
Mhm.
And that's how everybody was living
Mhm.
at that point. And as I'm sharing this story, there are no bitter feelings
Yeah,
and there
yeah.
are no hardships against my aunt or my
Mhm.
uncle. And I just truly believe they just reacted in the way that they best knew how.
Yeah.
And especially my aunt, like that was the best way she could react.
Mhm.
Or that's just that's the best she knew.
Yeah.
And there's just so much grace and we're all broken.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Yeah.
But when that came out to my youth pastor, then the CPS got involved and
Wow.
the secret became exposed.
Yeah.
And I just remember telling my youth pastor because we had a meeting after youth group, and I remember just feeling like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
she knows."
Yeah.
And I remember reassuring her, "But it's not a big deal, like, it hasn't happened
Oh, yeah.
since 8th grade, it has never happened again, and we're doing good, we forgave our uncle, like, conversations were held, like, everything is good, nothing needs to happen."
Yeah.
And I remember telling my youth pastor, "Don't do anything about it, we're okay, we're safe, my aunt and uncle are good people, don't do anything about it." And then few days later, I truly thought I had convinced my youth pastor at the time that, like, we are good.
Mhm.
I remember getting pulled out of my choir class in high school,
Oh, yeah.
and just like my heart sank. And I met with my guidance counselor, and I'm meeting with a CPS person, and I remember just begging them like to not do this, to not
Yeah.
go through with this because that was no matter how toxic our family environment was, no matter how toxic our relationship was with our aunt and uncle, they were the only parents that we had
Yeah.
here. And
Yeah, literally, yeah.
they're our family. And there
Oh,
had
wow.
already been tensions and like fights building up to this point. And so even at that point, I remember telling them, our family is being held by strings. Like
Yeah.
this is gonna break us.
Yeah.
So please don't go to the police. Don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was so angry because it had gone to that point, and I felt so betrayed by my youth pastor.
Yeah.
And I remember being just so angry with her because I
Mm.
was like, "I told you not to do this. And you went behind my back,
Mhm.
reported to the CPS, and now the cops are here, and then now there was restraining order, and we couldn't see our uncle anymore." And I truly, genuinely thought, like, there's no future beyond this. I don't know how to recover from this. And yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that was a pretty low point of my
Yeah.
life.
And even, I mean, even what you were sharing about, like as a child, so you said your junior year at this time, so you're
Mhm.
probably 17, something like
Yep.
that. It's you have a little bit of like higher thinking than you did when you were like in 8th grade, but still like you've only known one thing.
Yeah.
And you have to think of like what like bad muscle memory was created because you literally at, you know, 3rd grade, like were separated from your parents,
Mhm.
put in a new place. There's no family around you.
Yeah.
Like there was broken pain, trauma, trust, all that things from abuse. And now you're here and you're like, well, at least we're together. At least I
Mhm.
have a family right now.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the threat of that this could actually be broken even more. Like you
Yeah.
could lose your other family. Like
Yeah.
that's so painful. Like you're willing to justify anything just to like
Yes,
be with the family.
That's exactly where I was
Yeah.
at. And I love my parents, and
Mhm.
they truly have sacrificed everything for us to
Mhm.
have the life that we have. And I know our parents love us,
Mhm.
and so it's nothing against them, but it's a fact that they were absent for most
Mhm.
of our lives.
Mhm.
And so at that point, my aunt, yes, she's my aunt by formality and
Mhm.
technicality,
Mhm.
but really she was the only mother figure that I had,
Mhm.
along with my uncle. He was the only father figure that I
Yeah.
had. And so for that, even for that to be stripped away was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Um,
So what was the outcome of that situation?
yeah, so so unfortunately my uncle was given a well, I don't think what happened was okay with
Yeah.
me and my sister.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, after junior year was really messy.
yeah.
Now thinking about it, it was really messy. We can laugh about it now,
No,
but
for real. Sometimes it's hard, like, I'm sure as you're even thinking back at that moment, like there's so much that you almost kind of like shudder away.
yeah.
And then like if you have to sit there and think about it, you're like, whoa, that was wild. Like there's parts of my story, like, when I have to think about Natasha and I's first few years of marriage and going through sickness and cancer, and like I was even today, this morning, I was going back and just trying to sit and think about it a little bit. And I was like, there's pockets that I can't remember.
Yeah.
There's like pockets that are really gray. And there's pockets where I'm like, whoa, I totally forgot that we like went through this or that was happening. And you just kind of like shove
Yeah.
it aside. And so like that, like all of that happening, you have to think it's not just the actions, it's the feelings as well, the fear, all that stuff, all playing
Yeah.
together. Yeah.
And yeah, junior year was hard, needless to say. Because of everything that came to light, there was natural tension between the family.
Yeah.
And even before that year, I think something I struggled with living with our aunt and uncle, and again, it's not for them to blame. Something that I did struggle with growing up was just the fact that, yes, my aunt and uncle treat us as their own kids, but we really aren't.
Mhm.
And I think we always kind of felt that difference.
Mhm.
And so then now this had come to light. We did nothing wrong, but it almost felt like we were the reason why this happened to her husband.
Oh, yeah.
And unfortunately at the time, she did take the blame out on us for what
Yeah.
had happened. And I think it's just because she simply needed somebody to blame it on.
Yeah.
And the easy target was us.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I just can't even imagine in her shoes. It was her husband over 20 years.
Yeah.
And my uncle, he's a great guy too. I know deep down, like he was a good father. Like he was a good father figure, and he's a good person. It's just, again, humans are broken, and that's
They're
why we
broken.
need God.
That's why we need Jesus. I mean, it's almost like you can't really, like, you can't expect people that are not believers, that don't know Jesus, to adhere to the same standards. Like, no, they're literally broken. Like that's why they need it. They're sinners in need of a savior. And it's like you can't expect people who don't have Jesus to act in ways that reflect Jesus. And so that is difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. And even though they have started their faith journey, I think something that's kind of unfortunate now looking at it is that it was driven by guilt, and it wasn't because they felt compelled by the Holy Spirit to go to church and sit in on Sunday services. But the fact that it was driven by guilt and shame is kind of what makes it sad.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, unfortunately, she had taken the blame out on us, and I don't blame her for that. She was also hurting, and she was also a victim as much as we were. And so I then decided to become emancipated summer before my senior year of high school.
Which means what?
Which means it was
Like, I understand the term emancipation, but
Yep.
like, what does that mean in your context?
Basically, I decided to become independent and
Okay.
start living with a friend's family. I had a
Okay.
friend's.
Because you're 17.
I'm 17 and I was turning 18 that
Okay.
year, so then it was okay for
Yeah.
me to leave the house
Yeah.
and become an independent. But junior year is when, end of my junior year was when actually no. Yeah, so summer before my senior year of high school, I decided to live with a friend's family, who was the same friend that actually started inviting me to church and
Okay.
youth group when I was in 6th grade. And her dad also happened to be my math teacher.
Okay.
And so I knew this family very well, and they thankfully and graciously took me under their wings. And I was just a mess at 17.
Oh, yeah.
But I truly wouldn't be where I am without them.
Hmm.
But they took me under their wings, opened up their home for me. And again, it was a hard year. I had never been independent before. And so I was working multiple jobs leading into that senior year and trying to be independent. And my aunt, because of what had happened, our relationship was kind of severed at the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a hard year, but because of my friend's family, I truly am where I am today
Yeah.
because of that year.
Yeah.
So then senior year, started living with a friend's family, and it wasn't until it was the fall of my senior year, so, like, beginning of my senior year was when my uncle's court trial was being finalized, and I decided not to speak for my uncle.
Hmm.
I didn't wanna speak against him, but I also didn't want to speak for him.
Yeah.
I just didn't want any part of it,
Yeah.
and because of my decision, my aunt and uncle's side of the family kind of took that as a betrayal almost.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that led us to completely cutting off ties,
Wow.
unfortunately.
We as in your siblings.
Me and them. My siblings were still living with my aunt
Yeah.
at that point. So yeah, our relationship was completely severed during my senior year, and I think that's when I took it the hardest.
Yeah.
Because I feel like up to that point, I mean, not only was my family being held by strings, but wow, I didn't think I was gonna cry, but yeah, I love the Lord, and up to that point, like, not only was my family being held by strings, but so was my faith,
Yeah.
and wow, and I was the only believer
Yeah.
of the family, and I had church community at the time, obviously, but I felt so alone, and I felt like I was the only one praying for this family and for my siblings, and I was praying for God to show up. Like, "God, do something.
Mhm.
Don't take my family apart. Don't no matter what happens, please keep my family together."
Mhm.
And when my aunt, my uncle's side of the family decided to not be in communication anymore, I think I took that really hard, and that's when I was like,
Yeah.
"God, you don't exist."
Mm.
And I turned away from the Lord. I would have said when I was a senior in high school, I would have said, "Yeah, I don't believe in God anymore. I don't think there's Jesus. I don't believe in religion. I don't believe there's God." I would have said that, but I think now looking at it, I never truly believed in that statement. I was
Mhm.
just so angry.
Yeah.
I was just so angry with God, and I remember making up my mind like, "Okay, God, you're not gonna be in control. I'm gonna take control."
Mhm.
So then my senior year, I just remember just being head down, just trying to survive every single day.
Mhm.
Like, no matter what happens, like, I was determined, "I'm gonna solve this. I'm in control. I'm
Mhm.
gonna do this." And yeah, senior year was dark too. So junior year was hard, senior year was hard, but I remember just being head down, not wanting to talk to anyone,
Yeah.
and just kind of, yeah, making up my mind and telling God, like, "God, you don't exist.
Mhm.
I've been praying and praying and praying, and you have not showed up for me once,
Mhm.
which is not true.
Mhm.
And I was just like, if you're not gonna be in control, I'm gonna take control. And so decided I'm just gonna do whatever I can to survive. But little did I know, God was placing the right people at the right time
Mm.
to say the right things, to do the right things for me. And He was answering my prayers just in the way that I wasn't expecting Him to.
Yeah.
And even just like my friends' family
Mm.
taking me under their wings and just having people from the church community reach out to me, even though I might have turned them away at the time. Like that was all the Lord, like trying to reach me, even though I was basically cursing His name. And so, yeah, senior year was really hard. But again, it was God placing the right people at the right
Mhm.
time. And yeah, my friend's family was the biggest support, and they
Mhm.
loved the Lord.
Yeah.
They're Jesus loving family, and they really did everything they can to set me up for
Mhm.
success and took me on college tours and helped me apply for different colleges and um, helped me with car insurance and
This is
all the
wild.
adult stuff.
It's wild that I mean, you literally had 3 different families. I
Yeah.
mean, when you think like,
Yeah.
you grew up in South Korea until 3rd grade, so, like, 8 years old,
Yep.
and then you go to Wisconsin, and then you're with, your aunt and uncle
Yep.
until 17 years old,
Yep.
and then you move in with this other family,
Yep.
and this family is now teaching you other things. Like, it's just like you literally just kept going. So I wanna pause
Yep.
chronologically for a second, because you're obviously frustrated with the Lord. Like,
So frustrated.
I would be very frustrated with the Lord. I would not know how to comprehend anything at that point, because what I'm getting to is, like, I would struggle deeply with an orphan mindset, which is like, I mean, at some point there is some actual legitimacy of an orphan like spirit inside of you, because of like you literally were placed from family
Yeah.
to family to family. And so like I'm sure that's feeding into your relationship with the Lord as well. Like you don't
Yeah.
see him as a father, like cuz it's like how, you know, you don't even know what that looks like at that point.
Yeah.
So what is like I don't even know how to ask this question. I'm trying to even think how to process it, but it's like obviously you're you were a lover of God at a young age. You go through a deep dark season of
Mhm.
like not knowing. So like w- does that obviously I know the end of the story. It was but
Yeah.
like where does that start to like where do those conversations start to change between you and the Lord? Like where does it
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, actually he is my father and I'm not an orphan. And like because I can't like right now at this point of the story, I don't see any like
Yeah. No,
any hope in
it's
that. And so
the 17-year-old Carrie would have said the same thing. If you would have told her then that she would be working for a church.
that she loves Jesus. I mean, so let me
Yep.
back up that phrase that you just said, because anybody can work at a church.
That is true. That
Like
is
the
true.
Carrie I see now, like loves God.
Yeah.
Like, like I've had conversations with you about giving your life to the Lord, to whatever it is, long-term missions or seeing people saved, sharing stories and testimonies, and like the way that you worship and serve and love and all these things, like that's where I'm like, what happened? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like because there must have been like a radical transformation or a radical healing or a mindset shift or a revelation between the Lord. And so, like, you obviously there's more to your story with like you're going to college.
Mhm.
I know you have a degree. I know all these, like all this part of
Yeah.
your story, and now you're here,
Yeah.
and so it's like, and I think part of your degree doesn't even line up with what you're doing now.
Oh,
And so,
absolutely
yeah, so,
not.
so I'm just like pausing because I'm like, this is intense. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot that's happening. So anyway, I'll let you go, but like,
Yeah.
but yeah, anyway.
So it was truly God placing the right people at the right time. So senior year, I was not paying any attention to anything God
Hmm.
related, no church,
Hmm.
nothing. But people from my youth group consistently reached out. Hey, like
Hmm.
I just know like I just know this isn't the path for you.
Yeah.
And I had turned away from the Lord. Senior year was when I started partying. I had never done that before. And I was a goody two-shoe kid.
Yeah.
I was the Christian
Yeah.
girl that went to high school, and I was teacher's pet. I was
Yeah.
goody two-shoes
Mhm.
high schooler up until that point. And I had started hanging out with the wrong crowd, started partying, drank for the first time, and was just going down the wrong path at the
Mhm.
time. But again, God placed the right people at the right time, and no matter how much I didn't want anything to do with him, he never gave up on me.
Mm.
Even though in my perspective then, I thought God had forsaken me, I thought he had abandoned me,
Yeah.
but he had placed the right people at the right time, and especially when it came to college stuff, it was like, I know you don't see, it was people coming to me and saying like, I know you don't see this yet, but like, this application is free. You should just try it.
Yeah.
Or I know school's hard right now, but you can do it.
Mhm.
I know, and especially like, I mean, the family that I was living with, the dad was a math teacher,
Yeah.
and he was my math teacher.
Yeah.
So I had to do his homework.
Yeah.
He was gonna hold me accountable.
Yeah.
And so him just being there, holding me accountable to my schoolwork, and just having people in my life that kept reaching out, hey, like, I know there's a lot on your plate right now, but this college application is free, or saying like, this scholarship opened up, you should just apply and see where it goes. And so it was just like, just try it, just see where it goes. And just so one step at a time. And my admission counselor and my counseling office at my high school was phenomenal. Like they helped me so much that year. And it was just one step at a time, step at a time. And by the time I knew it, I was heading to Bethel University in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Which is a big fast forward,
Yeah.
but again, it just happened by step.
Yeah, it's all these little micro moments.
Yeah.
Because I actually think I've seen this scenario played out in different contexts, whereas people pray for something or want something or need something or whatever, and what they would rather have is like the one big thing. Like it's like, just make this one big thing happen. And usually what ends up happening is it's a bunch of little micro things.
Yep.
And it gets annoying because the first few, you're like, nothing's happening. It's like only one, like this isn't actually helping me. It's just one little baby step. But then you add up, 200 of those baby steps.
Yep.
And you're where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced that like, if the person gets the one big thing, like it's kind of cool, but then you forget about it because it's just like one moment and you just keep moving. But when you see the like 200 micro moments, you're like, it convinces you like, God set up 200 people in my life, not just one person, but 200 people. He really cares about me. He's really moving me to this next place. Like he did not give up on me. And so that's crazy. I love that. Yeah. So fast forward.
Yeah. Big fast forward. But again, like my friend's family, along with so many different people from my community back in Wisconsin, just did so much for me that year. And it wasn't until like my friend's family had driven me all the way to St. Paul, Minnesota to help me move in and get me adjusted and whatnot. But it really wasn't until my very first day of college, my very first class at 8 a.m. in the biggest lecture hall at Bethel University, when I sat down for the beginning of class, I just re-encountered the Lord. And I remember just like, I think it was the first time where I could breathe fully. Like, I think up until that moment, I was so anxious of something just being ripped away from me.
Yeah.
So I always made sure to not get my hopes high and set my expectations low. But it was when I sat in that chair in that lecture hall that like, okay, this is real. Like I'm a college student. I'm here at my first class, first day. It's like, it's real. I'm here.
Yeah.
And I'm not in Wisconsin anymore. I'm in Minnesota at a private university, which I had never imagined that it could happen when I was 17, 18 on my own, living with a friend's family. But it was in that seat I re-encountered the Lord. And I just started weeping because it was just like, I just did not see this.
Mm-hmm.
And probably the other students around me, along with the professor, thought I hated school.
You're
I was just
sitting there
devastated.
weeping.
Yeah. Just like, wow, that girl must really hate school. It was just like 8 a.m. We hear the bell, the class is starting, and I'm just like, I'm in tears. And people probably just thought I really hated school. But it was when I sat down, and it's kind of crazy, but I visually saw like all the moments that the Lord was there for me. Like all the times where I was driving from one job to another, when I was so frustrated that I had all these things to deal with that I had no idea how to go about, or all the times that I thought I was out of control and just didn't know what the future held for me. It was just like, hey, Carrie, remember this moment? I was there. You didn't see me, but I was there.
Yeah.
Hey, like, hey, remember when you were so frustrated that you were cursing my name? I was actually right there. And it was just this moment that I realized, wow, God, you were never the person to blame. You were never the God to blame, but you were the God who wept with me in those moments. And I wish I could say like it was just ever since then, I just loved the Lord and I never looked back. Obviously throughout my college years, there were ups and downs, but I think that's when I truly realized, okay, God, you are real.
Yeah.
And you have always been faithful. I just refused to see it.
Yeah.
For years.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started to rebuild my relationship with the Lord. And you mentioned like I had multiple families growing up. Something that the Lord has done always in my life. Like family has been a sore subject in my life. But the Lord, something that he always gifted me with are people, our family of God, who always pointed me back to him. And so even though family as a subject is not the greatest thing in my life, he always made sure that's a lack that I never felt.
Yeah.
Even in the moments that I was rebellious, ultimately, like he had always surrounded me with families. And so I had great community throughout my college years, and love all my friends from Bethel. They really like shaped me in my faith, and I give credit to them as well for the faith that I have in Jesus. And going throughout college, college experience was really good for me. Like high school experience, not so much, but
great,
college experience, great,
Yeah.
awesome. I love my friends, and I grew tremendously in my faith. And now going into my career piece of how I am working in full-time ministry today, going throughout college, I was like, you know what? I'm going to become a lawyer.
What was the motivation behind that?
Yeah. I think because I dealt with so much with legal things in my high school years, there were just so many questions that I had in regards to everything that was happening with my uncle and how to go about with my siblings, living with my aunt, and things like that. I just had so many questions that I needed answers to at the time, whether it was with the police or lawyers, and I was just not given any answers.
Yeah.
And I remember in high school thinking like, I'm going to become the person to have those answers.
Yeah, it's typically how those things start. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, all right,
yeah.
I'm going to do this myself.
Yeah, so then I decided to become a business major.
Okay.
And by the time I was in junior or senior of college, I started prepping for the LSAT and told everyone that I was going to law school after this, and was even a part of a summer program through University of Minnesota to help me study for the LSAT. And I was fully prepared. I'm like, I'm going to become a lawyer. I'm going to go to law school, work really hard, become a lawyer, make my parents proud. All of that stuff.
Yeah. How much interaction are you having with your parents back in South Korea during this time?
We've always been in communication.
Yeah.
It looks consistent in one season and then not so inconsistent in other seasons. It kind of varied throughout the time. We mostly called a lot.
Okay.
Just like FaceTime or phone call. But they had known about my dream to go to law school, and they were so proud of me.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, I knew you'd be proud."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to law school."
Yeah.
And they're like, "We're so happy for you."
Yeah.
But then after senior year of college, I had a couple friends who were older than me, and one of them had decided to move to Grand Rapids, Michigan, to become to become part of this ministry called Every Heart Movement.
Okay.
And he told us all about it and how they have a summer tour where they travel to different states, connect with different local churches, connect with the community, serve the community, and host a worship gathering every week and share the gospel and evangelize and all of those things. And I had decided to also take a gap year after graduating from college. And I was like, you know what? Why not? I
Yeah.
was like, it's only 3 months or only 2 months. So I was like, 2 months, I
Easy.
go on this
Yeah.
tour, and then I work full time the rest of my gap year,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to law school.
Yeah.
And thank God that he didn't reveal anything more than that, because if I had known what that tour would have led me to, I would have not signed
No,
up for it in the first place.
Yeah.
But I remember like packing for this tour. I decided to apply, got in, and I remember packing for this tour. And I was like, God, it's only 2 months. It's only 2 months. I got it. I could do this. And I'm coming right back, God. I'm coming right back. I'm coming right back. And before even leaving for this tour, I remember hearing from the Lord, Carrie, just give me 1 year.
Wow.
But then in mind, I'm like, 1 year,
Yeah.
2 months,
2
same
months,
thing.
yeah.
About this, same thing.
Yeah.
Like summer happens only once a year.
Yeah.
So he must have meant like
Yeah.
1 year is in summer.
That's amazing.
So I went on this tour, and it was life-changing. I had
Yeah.
never realized there was an activation part of my faith where
Oh, yeah.
like we are called to fulfill the Great Commission. And the gospel is something that changed my entire life.
Mhm.
And up to that point, it was just like, how many people did I ever share this good news with
Yeah.
that saved my life?
Yeah.
And it was 0.
Yeah.
And so I feel like during my college year, God had intentionally led me to Bethel University for my faith to be founded on
Yeah.
and transformed and
Yeah.
solidified almost.
Yeah.
And Every Heart Tour was the activation part of like, okay, now like take what you learn, take what you know, and go. Like almost being sent out almost. And that summer was life-changing. And it was so special because it was the only 2 months of my life where I had nothing else to do besides wait on the Lord and
Mhm.
hear from the Lord and act on what I hear.
Mhm.
And first week of tour, I remember being so scared for what I had just signed up for. But there was just some crazy piece about it. And immediately off the bat, people started coming up to me like, I just have a feeling you're gonna move to Michigan. And I remember, absolutely
Yeah.
not. Like, I am not ever moving to Michigan.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
And we would travel to different states, different cities, and we would meet different people and different leaders. And each week we would travel to different places, but people would prophesy and say the same thing that people had said in the past of like,
Mm.
I just feel like worship school is in the future for
Wow.
you. And I remember you got the school wrong.
Yeah.
It's law school,
Yeah,
but
it sounds similar, but yeah.
yeah, it sounds similar, but you got it wrong.
Yeah.
It's law school. And one of my team members was actually from Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he was an RSM student.
Okay.
And he sat me down one day and was like, Carrie, it was towards the end of the tour. He's like, Carrie, I just feel like the Lord is speaking to you. He is telling you something, but you're refusing to hear or admit that he is speaking to you because you're so stubborn. He was like, people have come up to you saying worship school is in your future. And it's not from one same person. It's people from different places telling you the same thing. Like that should be alarming to you. Like that's God telling you, listen. And so he was like, I know this worship school. He's like, I know you don't want to think about it. I know you don't even want to look into it, but I know this great worship school. And I was like, where is it? He's like, Kalamazoo, Michigan. And I was like, Kalamazoo what?
Yeah.
And he was like, just pray about it. I'm going to send you the application link. If you have peace about it, just do it.
Yeah.
And so then in one of our off time where we just go individually spend time with the Lord, I remember like just sitting down with the Lord and being like, okay, God, is this something that you have for me?
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember having peace about it. And that's something I became familiar with of like some people audibly hear from the Lord, and that's great. And I
Yeah.
pray one day I will be that
Yeah,
one of those people.
That's amazing for
Or
them.
like some people hear, like I think there are just multiple ways that people can hear from the Lord, and I think sometimes we forget that.
Yep.
But the biggest way that I found in my life that the Lord often speaks to me is by his peace.
Mm.
No matter how unsettling the circumstances may be or terrifying the situation may be, if I have peace, I know it's from the Lord.
Yeah.
And so I just felt peace about moving forward with the application process. And I also had faith in the Lord that if I'm not supposed to go, that he will close this door.
Yeah.
And so decided to apply. And it was like 2 days before the tour ended. And I remember my housing in Minnesota had fallen through, and I'm like stressing out, and I had no full-time job lined up to work the remainder of my gap year. And I'm like processing this with my friend who had moved initially to work for this ministry. And I'm like, I'm stressing out. I don't know what I'm doing. This sucks. And I love him. He's great. He's a straight shooter. He goes, Carrie, I just feel like the reason that you might be sweating isn't because you're stressed out, but because of conviction. He was like, go sit down and pray about it. He's like, I feel like God is shutting the doors where it needs to be shut, and he's opening the doors for you where it needs to be open, and you just need to get right with the Lord. He's like, go. And I was like, you're probably right. So I went away. We were in worship, and I remember just like, okay, God, I need you to do something.
Yeah.
I need you to something. And within that 10 minutes of just praying and sitting with the Lord, I remember getting an email from Britain at the time.
Yeah, who was over our school of worship at that time.
Yes. And it was an email from her saying, hey, you got in.
Yeah.
And then it was another email from her with a housing and roommate opportunity along with a potential job opportunity. And I was just like, well.
That's pretty wild.
It was wild. And I remember going back to my friend who told me to go get right with the Lord and sit down and pray about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's like, you're moving to Michigan. And I was like, yeah. He's like, welcome. I was like,
that's amazing.
So then came to RSW year, still was very stuck on going to law school.
Yeah.
Went through the entire year just like, I'm only here for a year. I'm only here for a year.
Yeah.
And RSW year was hard.
You pretty much said that about everything.
Wow, everything was just hard.
Everything was hard.
But good hard. RSW year was
stretching. Yeah.
Yeah, it was stretching. It was also life-changing for me.
Yeah.
And just learning that like there is nothing better than to be obedient to what the Lord is calling you to. And I think the biggest lesson I heard, or the biggest lesson that I learned through every hard and going into RSW year is that like you just never know what's on the other side of your obedience.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Yeah.
And if granted, I would have rather have done it with a glad heart. And that's something that I've learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Like when God called me to do Every Heart Tour, I should have been glad to be obedient, but I threw some tantrums. And when God called me to do RSW, there were definitely some tantrums as well. I definitely didn't go without a fight, and I repented to the Lord for that.
Yeah.
But the biggest lesson I learned is that you just never know what's on the other side of your obedience, whether it's the simple things in your life, or like even us wearing the same outfit today. Like it led us to doing this podcast. You just never know. You just never know in your life.
Yep. That's what I knew.
So, like,
when I saw you, I knew this is it.
Even just like Every Heart, for me to do Every Heart, like who would have thought that decision to do Every Heart, that I thought it was only going to affect 2 months of my life, would affect the rest of the year and even years beyond that. and for even me to do RSW year. And so you just never know what's on the other side of your yes. And saying yes to Jesus is always worth it, always. And so went through RSW year, very stretching. And if anybody's considering doing it, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was towards the end of my RSW year. I was so stubborn. I think everybody knew except me that I wasn't going to law school, but I just needed to figure it out on my own.
Yeah.
And I had toured law school. I had decided to say yes to a law school program back in Minnesota, and I was ready to say goodbye to everybody in Kalamazoo and never look back. And it was towards the end of my RSW year where I started to feel that uneasiness. And that peace from the Lord I was not finding.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, something is happening. I know I'm supposed to go to law school. Well, that's what I was telling myself.
Yeah.
But I just don't feel easy about it. There's just something wrong. And I think when you have this history with the Lord, it's hard when you have lived, it's hard to go back when you know what it feels like to be in the will of God. When God has given you grace to do something, it's hard to turn back and do something when it's clearly not in his grace for you to do something. Once you know that feel, it's like I've tasted and seen.
Yeah.
I've seen too much, I've heard too much, I've felt too much. At this point, I can't pretend it.
Yeah.
I can't just ignore it.
Yeah.
I just know too much. I just have too much history with the Lord. And so I remember just one night, I'm like, okay, God, what is going on? I don't know what I'm doing. What is my future? A mini identity crisis at 23 years old. And I stayed up till 4 a.m. just wrestling with the Lord. I'm like, I've lived my entire life for this moment, to go to law school. I've set up my life to go to law school. I don't know what's happening. And it was the Lord interrupting my life because he knew better than I did. And again, I was staying up all night just wrestling with the Lord in my room. And I came across this job opportunity at Radiant. And to give you even more context, there have been conversations being held with my parents leading up to this season of my life. When they decided when they found out that I was going to do tour, they were like,
yeah, because they're atheists. So it's what are you doing? Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
But at the time, it wasn't that big of a deal because it was only 2 months of my life. They're like, well,
go do your little thing.
Yeah, if you want to do that, go ahead. And then when I decided to do RSW, that was a whole nother story.
Yeah.
And we had recently got into a big argument right before RSW had happened. And my mom was so mad. She was so mad. She was like, these people have brainwashed you.
Yeah.
She was like, you said you were just going to do the tour and work the remainder of the year so that you can go to law school. How are you going to afford law school? All of these questions. And I had never thought that this was going to happen in my life. I read about it in the Bible, obviously. But she asked me this question right before RSW. It was a week before I decided that I was going to do RSW. Or week before RSW started and after I had decided I was going to do that. She was like, is it family or God?
Wow.
And I was like, and Pastor Sean, I wish I could sit here and say, I had full confidence that I was going to say, it is God first in my life. I wish I could say that to you, but in reality, I was definitely shaking in my boots and I didn't even know what was going to come out of my mouth.
It's interesting because I'm curious if the uniqueness of your family history is what made it feel so hard to make that decision, because it's like, okay, I've gone through multiple iterations of family.
Yep.
And if I say this, my first family is also going to disown me. It's like, there's so much to that. There's so much. It's not just I want to make my parents proud. It's like, well, there's 5 levels deeper to why you want to make your parents proud, because you've had a couple bad rounds of family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's you want to be oh yeah, God's first, and my family will understand. It's well, no, my family won't understand.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be alone again.
Yeah, because like not only were they not believers, but also culturally too in South Korea, I'm the oldest of the family, and so it's common that the oldest child's occupation represents the family.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so, like, my mom often gets referred to as, like, Carrie's mom. She's not just mom, she's Carrie's mom.
Yeah.
And so is my dad. And if my family had a lawyer, then my family would be known as, "Oh, that's the lawyer's family."
Yeah.
So and, like, just knowing the sacrifice, like, culturally, sacrifice is huge in South Korea as well. And so, like, just knowing the sacrifice that my parents made
Mm-hmm.
and for her to be like, "Is it family or God?" I just knew that was just, like, a loaded question.
Yeah.
And again, I wish I could sit here and say with confidence that I was gonna say family or God first,
Yeah.
but it was just like it just came out of my mouth, and I was like, "It has to be God first."
Yeah.
And then my mom immediately was like, "You are brainwashed. You spend way too much time with these people. You're part of a cult.
Mm-hmm.
You have gone insane." And she's like, "How could you say it's God first in your life? Like it's why like it has to be family first. I don't get why you have to give your entire life for this thing." And like she's like, "I'm okay with you going to church on Sundays." And she even said things like, "If I knew that this was what's gonna lead to, I would have never let you go to church in the first place when you were 3." Like all of these things. And we had after that conversation, we didn't talk for months.
Yeah.
And then middle of my RSW year, she had called me and she was like, "You know what? Like I decided if this is what it takes for you to realize that you need to go to law school, then so be it." So then I was like, okay, at least it's like one step. Like I was strong enough in my faith where I was like,
well, I'll take it.
yeah, like I'll take it. It's not a completely like a
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Like she's not completely disapproving of
Yeah.
this.
I'll kick this can down the road a
Yeah,
little
I'm
bit.
like, yeah, this is great. This is awesome. Like I was on a high. And like at that point, my faith is strong. I love the Lord. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
And it's not a no.
Yeah.
And if it's not a no, we have a chance.
Yeah.
So yeah, when this radiant job opportunity came along and whatnot, it was a big wrestle with the Lord. But I had peace again about like applying for the position. And I also had trust in the fact that like if I'm not supposed to go through this job opportunity, then the Lord will shut the door.
Yeah.
And he will even speak to the leadership here at Radiant to not give me the job if this is not what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So then decided to apply, got an interview. And even like right before the interview, I was like, "Lord, this is your last chance. If you want me to go to law school, you gotta let me know now. Like, it's not too late."
Yeah.
So I remember I went to the noon prayer set before my interview with Landon at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in noon prayer. I'm like, "God, I need you to tell me right now I need to go to law school so I can back out of this interview." And I'm just like praying. I'm like, "God, is this really what you want me to do?" And I'm like, I already know what he had called me to do, but I just want to make sure that's like.
Yeah.
And I just remember sitting there in the back of the prayer room, and I just gently hear from the Lord, like, "Carrie, like I can bless your family in more ways than you can ever imagine."
Wow. Yeah.
And what that meant to me at the time is like I had realized this dream of becoming a lawyer wasn't really my dream. Like I had realized I was pursuing this dream for all the wrong reasons. Like I wanted to make my parents proud. I wanted the approval of my family. I wanted to bless my family financially because I know all the struggles that they had go through. And something even my parents had spoken over me was like, "We didn't send you over there so that you could become a nobody."
Wow.
And I remember one conversation was that like, "You're going through RSW, you're doing this tour for what? So that you could become a nobody and work for a church?" And I remember at the time, I was like, "Mom, I would never do that." I remember, I'm like, "Mom, I love the Lord and I'm going to do this tour and I'm going to go to a RSW, but I'll never work for a church."
Yeah. I'm not that crazy.
Yeah, I remember at the time like thinking that. But like, those were all the lies that I had kind of like allowed it to instill me and allow it to become a motivation for me to pursue this dream. And it was just like all these fears of like, "Lord, I want to bless my family. I want them to be financially okay. Like my parents didn't work this hard for me to become a quote unquote nobody. And I want their approval and I want the stability of what this career promises, and I want I want the status. It was just for all the wrong reasons.
The motivation.
Yeah. And then, so then I got called into this. So then after realizing that with the Lord, it was just like, it's so true. Like, who was I to think that I could bless my family in more ways than God can?
Because there's nothing wrong with wanting to bless your family.
No, not
and there's
at all.
nothing wrong with wanting money to be able to bless your family or to be able to. There's nothing wrong with doing something that is like, hey, like this is I want to bring honor and I want to do this. But it was like what you said. That was the motivation. It was like I have to do this in order to do this, and that's where it gets tricky. Yeah,
and it was just also like, I didn't have enough faith in the Lord that He loves and He will provide for my family.
Yeah.
I thought I had to do it.
Yeah.
And so once that realization hit, I'm like, dang, I need to let go of this law school dream.
Wow.
And I went into that interview with Landon and then another interview with you and Olivia, who's my boss.
Yeah.
And I remember just being so candid with you guys. I was like,
I remember.
I have no job experience.
Yeah.
I have no experience.
You're like, I didn't even want this job. I wanted to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
My degree is not even in this.
Yep.
But I felt from the Lord in that moment. I was like, this person is like, maybe on paper this doesn't look right, but she is the person for this role because it's like the story in her heart, what the passion she has, what the Lord is putting on her life. I was like, this is the person. Like this is actually the phrase I got is she's good soil. It's like this, like if we wanted to look for like a potted plant that was already ready to go, it's like you wouldn't have been that person because it's like, it's like
I was not potted at all.
you were not like born and cultivated to be like this role in our communications team and running our socials is like, this is the right person. It's like, no, but this was the good soil that the Lord had been like cultivating and working on for years.
Yeah. So
that something could be planted.
Yeah. I remember just telling you guys it's a risk. If you guys hire me, it'll be a risk, but I'll be happy.
It's always the best thing to say in the interview process. I mean, we can roll the dice and see what happens.
I did get hired.
You did get hired. I mean, we did put in like a 90-day probation just to see like what.
I just wanted to be completely honest with you guys. I was like, I only got here because of what the Lord has been doing and speaking to me in my life and not for any other reason. Yeah. So I just like, I want you guys to know like what you guys are getting yourself into, but like it would be 1,000% a risk if you guys hire me because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, and that's the crazy thing is that's when I met you. So it's crazy to hear all of this story.
Yeah.
Before I met the Carrie that I know today. And I already said at the beginning of this episode, it was like the Carrie I know today like loves Jesus, like is diehard, passionate, intelligent, like hard worker, like wants to like expand the kingdom of God and give her life to, to reach others. And so I see all of that. And then I'm like, but I didn't see the battle that it took to get there, like it's the separation from your family at a young age, the going through like building a new life in a new area with no family around you besides what's in your home. And then the years of like that kind of like fractured life of of abuse and holding that in and then that coming out and that kind of splintering out the family, that the second family that you knew, and then going to another family and then like trying to put roots down, but then you're going off to college and then you're trying to like rebuild what life you had. And then it's like, there's just like all of this stuff that just like that whole story of, your identity as a daughter and identity as in God, to see where it is now is really cool.
Yeah.
Because like the person you are today is because of you choosing to say yes to God. Even times where you didn't really want to say yes, but you still committed, like you still did it. Maybe there's some gaps of time in between you saying yes again, but like, I keep going back to that phrase you said of like, he never gave up on me and that the Lord never gave up on you. And that's honestly like, you can either believe it in the moment or you can look back and recognize it and that he never gave up on you. And so kind of as we're like, kind of like landing the plane on this conversation is, like, what would you say, Carrie, to someone that is like, on the other side of the table of you, because you're like in your 20s now. And so let's say there's someone young 20s as well who's like struggling with that, whether it's like, you know, I feel like God's not here. I feel like
Yeah.
he's given up on me. I feel like, whatever that might be, just like someone who is going through that fractured, dark, like
Yeah.
faith shaking season that you went through. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think something that I wish I had realized earlier. Yeah, I think something that I wish I would have realized sooner was that God is never the one to blame,
Mm,
but he's a God who weeps with you.
yeah.
He is close to the broken and he is close to the broken and contrite heart.
Yeah.
And I think I spent such a long time blaming the Lord for all the things that had happened. And I was just so busy being angry with him and blaming him and pointing
Mhm.
my finger at him that I didn't even realize that he was actually right next to me weeping.
Yeah.
He was feeling all the things that I was feeling.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I think it was the realization he's never the one to blame.
Yeah.
Like he never wanted these things to happen to me. Like his plan is for me, not against me. I know
Mhm.
that's cliche, but
It's truth.
it was life-changing
Yeah.
for me when I had realized that, like, man, God, you were never the one to blame.
Yeah.
Like you are the only person that have loved me from the very beginning.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
you are the creator that knitted me in my mother's womb. From the very beginning, you were on my side.
Yeah.
But I was so busy blaming you
Wow,
when you
yeah.
were never the one.
He was the one that was actually with you that whole time.
Yeah, but I also think what's comforting is that, like, he's not afraid of that. It's not too much for him for you to come to him with all your anger and problems and annoyance and frustration. He's a God big enough to manage that and
Yeah.
handle that. And so that, but also be like, I don't know where I was going with that, but I had a really good point to make. That yeah, he's never the one to blame, and that he has always been on my side from the very. If
Yeah.
anyone, like it's him, and like the crazy thing is, like he doesn't owe us anything.
Yeah.
Like what he did on the cross is enough.
Yeah.
And so, like,
Exactly,
even
yeah.
if he was to never answer another prayer in my life,
Yeah.
even if he never spoke to me again, or even if I never felt his presence again, him alone is enough. Him alone is worthy of my entire life and my
Yeah.
praise. And so, like, he doesn't owe us anything, but because he is so kind, because he is so gracious, and because he loves us, and because he wants a relationship with us, he answers our prayers. He speaks to us. He comforts us. And so I just think if I had realized sooner that like he's never the one to blame,
Yeah.
but he's the God who weeps with us, I think I would have been, I mean, there's God's timing for everything. But yeah, I just wish I would have realized that sooner because I feel like my life would have been a little bit easier if I did.
Or there would have been a little bit more peace. Like, doesn't mean that like every situation is going to be better now.
Yeah,
but there's
no.
perspective, and it's like, okay, like I can be anchored in the storm. Like there's still going to be a storm, but it's like I can at least feel that anchor, like going deep in that storm. And so,
Yeah,
that's beautiful, Carrie.
yeah.
Thank you so much for
Of course.
letting me hijack your day.
Anytime.
And coming in and sharing your story. I'm really excited to. What's crazy is this is like chapter 2 of your story. Like it's like you have probably 10 more chapters that are being written right now,
Oh,
like,
wow.
and so just to kind of see like what the Lord does in your life, like everything that's happened and everything you've walked through has been for a reason.
Yeah.
And the Lord has like, it's like, basics of writing is character development, and he's been developing you and it could seem like, well, that was it. And now I'm just going to kind of do some things before I die. And it's like, no, actually the Lord was like writing this story, and we're in like chapter 2. We talked about chapter 1 and 2 of your story today. And it's like, what's chapter 3 going to be like, and 4, and like, what's going to happen? And so I'm really excited. So thank you. I appreciate
Anytime.
it. Yeah.
This is so fun.
It is fun. Yeah. You can do it again. We can do another one right now.
Right. Yeah. Let's just go right into it.
No, I'm tired. So So anyway, we hope you enjoyed this conversation. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Radiant Podcast.
We did it.
We did it.
I only cried once.
Yeah.
Thank God.